He had extraordinary power and bodily features. I've never seen anybody like that. You can look at Prabhupada, look at 1,000 Indians, you won't find anyone that looks quite like him. I mean, he was very, very short, probably about 5'6", maybe 5'4". His head is kind of large. His ears very large. His arms are very, very long. I could never figure out, is he fat or is he thin or is he in between? Or he was very peculiar in a very charming and endearing way. I thought he looked like he was from another world, if you will, from the world that he was talking about. And I really do think that his own inner ecstasy very much showed up in his personal physique and so forth. One of the things that's very clear about that was the most prominent feature of him physically, that being his eyes, his vision. He had what Baladev Vidyabhushan refers to as the power, then the glance to bestow grace, certain Vaishnavas. He had that. If he would look at you, connect eye to eye, you had to be following, I think, or you had to look away. Embarrassed by the fact that he knew what you were like, despite that he still loved you. I should be better. I was pretty good at following, so I didn't have a problem locking eyes with Prabhupada. For me, it could have gone on forever. And I had a number of occasions where he benedicted me with his glance, including the very first time I met him. I met him first in a dream before I ever met him personally. And in the dream that I had of him, that dream played out in the future also, in my life, in Mayapur. Walking with Prabhupada. He was looking at different exhibits and so forth. Turned to me, talked to me, pointed at me with his cane and so forth. I had that dream. Years later, that dream played out somehow. But I was so enthused to meet him. I was so dedicated to following him even before meeting him personally, as of course many of us was. Some of the devotees, some of his disciples never met him at all, personally, physically. And in spite of that, like Vancouver, Canada, I remember he never went there, but 300 devotees were participating in the temple there. So his glance, when I first met him, first saw him in the Los Angeles airport, he glanced deep and long at me, and he had that power from his glance to just, you could tell he was just reaching right into your heart. He could see everything there. He was either agreeing to it or not quite agreeing with it, but blessing you nonetheless. You should be better, something like that. It was very, very powerful. And in my experience, I assume it was the experience of others, he could enter a room and fill it with ecstasy. That's not ordinary. And that means even many great Vaishnavas can't do that. So the power, well, you could think Nityananda Prabhu, he could do that. So, but then it's all explained. He could walk into a room of devotees and waves of ecstasy would seem to roll off of him and shower us, and devotees would weep and wail and so forth, and just like dance in abandon to be in his presence, and it was universal amongst all of his disciples.